guys, it's Chala from Crafting Through the Chaos of Life. Thank you so much for joining me for another video today. I am on the blog for Scrap and Stamp, and I thought it would be fun to do something really different and use our scraps and create a junk journal. I've really kind of been interested in doing a little bit more journaling this year with my thoughts of being, quarantined for almost a year now. Yeah, so I thought it'd be fun to create with our scraps left over from our card making a journal, a junk journal. Yeah, so let's get started. What you're going to need is a paper bag. Now there's very differing sizes of paper bags out there that you can actually create into a journal. However, today I'm going to be using the standard Sobeys size paper grocery bag that I get at my local Sobeys. I have collected a plethora of these, and now it's time to go ahead and use them and make something creative out of some of my scraps and stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is you have your grocery bag. It's just a plain grocery bag, and these Sobeys ones are perfect because they are mostly brown. The only writing on them is this little recycling bit here, and yeah, so it's going to make a really fun journal. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up your bag, and we're going to cut down the sides. So we're going to open up the bag, get your hand in there, okay, and we're going to cut down this line. Okay, we're going to cut all the way down, and then we're going to cut across each side here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Just cut along that fold as straight as you can, and then we're going to go ahead and cut down these sides. Okay. A little tricky here, but we're going to cut down this side. Okay. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. Turn it over. This is the hardest part of the whole project, I promise you. And then we're going to cut straight down again. Okay, and then cut along the side of the bottom here. One this way, turning it, and again this way. So what you're left with is, if I fold it all open, open up all the parts. Now it's a little hard to see because I don't know if I can zoom out. Let me try and zoom out, get to see my messy desk here. Let's see if I can zoom out a little bit more. All right, so we can see here our paper bag. Okay, this is the bottom part, and then we have these side flaps. Now you can cut these side flaps off, but if you leave them on, they will let you have pockets in your journal. So I think that's kind of fun. So let's leave them on, and then if you want, you can cut yours off. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to give it a turn. And opening up the flaps, we're going to fold it up on the fold that's already there from the bottom. So it's going to fold along here. We'll fold that up. Okay, now we're going to fold this part down. So as you can see, there's already a fold there for us, so that's not too hard. If you want to line it up evenly on the bottom, you can go ahead and do that. So try and get it nice and even, and then press it down. Okay, so we've got that part done. Now we're going to take this top part and again fold it on the crease that's already there for us. Smooth it down, and then we're going to fold again on this line. We're going to fold it up. Okay, and again, you can make it nice and even on the top if you like. Give it a fold down. Now it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the best part about junk journaling is you're not making like a book to publish, so it should be fine. All right, I'm going to sit down here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. So these parts here are going to fold our little kind of flaps or our little pockets. So we're going to fold that in, fold this in, and then you have this section here right in the middle already for us. We'll just fold that over. And that creates the basis of our journal book. Okay, so what you'll want to do at this point is, if you're not handy, if you don't have a sewing machine, I'm going to go ahead and sew down here. You can either do a straight stitch, I'm going to do a zigzag, and then that becomes our binding. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like. I've already gone ahead and done that on this one here. So you can see I've gone ahead and just zigzag stitched that. So the next thing that we're going to want to do is we need to create our pages. So as you can see here, these are the folds. We're just going to simply cut on the folds, and that'll create our pages. So let's go ahead and do that. It's really easy. Just slip your scissors in there and cut along that fold. Now the one thing that you want to make sure is you want to stop right before you get to that stitching. You don't want to cut all the way along, because if you cut your stitching, then you're going to unravel your project. Okay, so we'll go ahead and just kind of cut up to that stitching and turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. And you can see I'm not being overly careful here. Just kind of trying to cut on that fold that's already created for us. Gives us kind of a guide. And again, I don't want to cut my stitching, so just a little bit shy of that. There we go. And that gives us the start of our pages. So then I'm going to turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. And there's some of our pages there, and turn it to the other side. Again, remembering not to cut straight through your stitching. If you're not a handy sewer, you can just staple it if that works better for you. It just means that you're going to have a little bit of lip on the back. So there's our pages for our book. They'll open up. And this here, you can leave this way, and you can have it as a pocket if you like, or you can cut it open. I'm going to decide what I'm going to do in a minute here, but if you're not good with a sewing machine, you can also hand stitch this too if you want. You can just kind of do a, what's that called? What kind of stitch is that? Not a slip stitch, a running stitch, I believe is what it's called. My mom will correct me on that. Mom, if you can give me a hand and let me know what that stitch is, make sure you list it down below. All right, so if you're not handy with a sewing machine or don't want to hand sew it, you can simply just take your stapler and staple kind of close to the edge here. It just means that you're going to have a little bit of an edge here, a little kind of part that sticks out, but that's okay, that works too. You can decorate that up. Okay, the other thing you can do is before you decide to stitch or before you decide to staple, once everything's open, if you would rather paint on your pages, you can paint and gesso and do everything you like before you put it together. You're more than welcome to do that. You just have to let your project dry before you go ahead and stitch and cut the pages. Okay, but today I'm just going to simply use up my scrap pieces of paper and create our journal. Okay, so I'm going to bring back this piece that I have already sewn, and I'm going to decide what I want to do. I like these little flaps. What I can do here is I can also sew these to create little pockets. I can fold this back and I can sew along here, or I can just simply glue it. That's something I could do for here, so I'll decide, or I can just have them and let them fold out. So go ahead and fold these in. I'll decide how I want to work these pages. Just creasing them down as I go along. And then here is this one. You know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut that. I want more pages than I want pockets. I can always create another pocket later if I want. And doing the same thing on this side. There we go. Excellent. So there we have the beginning of our book. And now it's just a matter of going ahead and decorating. So I'm going to be back once I decide what kind of things I want to decorate my book with, and I'll show you how I decorate some of the pages. Okay, so I'm back. I've went through my little scrap bin of things, and I found this piece of scrapbook paper that I had cut down to use for something, and it actually is the perfect size to fit over top of the front of this journal to make this my cover of my journal. And there's a little hole in here from a little perforated piece here that that the pad of paper kind of hung from on this at the store. I'm going to keep that on there, and I'm going to keep that perforated edge attached. And what I can do is I can attach some ribbon to that as a decoration piece. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just use some liquid glue, and I'm going to glue this all down. And I'm not going to glue this little ridge right here down just yet, so that way I can add some ribbon later on. So let's just go ahead and add some glue to this, and we'll get it glued down. Okay, so you can use your favorite liquid adhesive for this. If you want, you can also use score tape, just a strong liquid adhesive. And I'll just simply press that down. And I might add some more as I go along if I see that it's lifting here. I can add some more underneath. I have a very fine tip nozzle on here. I might have to pull out my other glue. But that basically forms the cover for our journal. Now I did cover up our stitching, and that's okay. I can still see the stitching on the inside. That's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. If you want, you could have cut it down so that you can see that stitching, but I kind of like that it's the same all the way front to back. All right, so I also have a whole bunch of scraps next to me, and some of the ones that I pulled out are from a scrapbook page or paper pack that had these kind of little embellishments on them, and I don't tend to use these for card making, although I should. But we can go ahead and decorate the front of our journal with one of these, and I kind of stuck between choose happiness or everything has so much beauty. I think I want to use this one. I really like the saying on it, so I'm going to just go ahead and glue this down. Again, I'm not cutting anything new out. These are all just scraps or pieces that I didn't use from other projects. So that works out really well. And I'll show you how we can make pockets and writing pages. All right, so I'm just going to glue this on. And you know what? I have some feathers next to me for some reason. I think my kids were in my craft area, and I just noticed a few feathers out. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add, I think I'm going to have to get my big glue. I'll be right back. I'm going to get my big glue. Okay, I'm just going to use my Elmer's glue all. You can use whatever glue you have. Hopefully this will work. I don't know, my kids tend to leave the glue open when they're working away in here. Might just have to use a paintbrush. So go ahead, I've got some wax paper and a glue brush. Woo, that's lots of glue, that'll work. And I'll just go ahead and add some glue. And everything has so much beauty, even this little feather. I'm going to dip him in kind of there and glue it down. And you can add pieces of ribbon. You can decorate it however you want. I think I have that on crooked. See if I can get that glued down straight. My glue brush dried on me and I didn't wash it off, so it's a little stiff. That's okay. Just add some glue. See if we can glue this on a little bit straighter. There. Now if you want, you can add some ribbon. I'll just leave this like this for now. We'll go on into the inside of our journal. So this is our front page. So I'm just going to simply move along and I'm going to add a whole bunch of scrap pieces to this. So I'll let you watch on fast time here and I'll add some music so it's not so boring for you. So the cool thing about this is it doesn't just have to be a journal. You can actually make it into a card booklet. So you can have your greeting on the front. You could say something like happy birthday, and then on the inside you can fill the book with pictures and write down fond memories of the person. If you've been friends for a long time, you can write down some fun special memories, and you can actually give this as a memory book of your friendship and use it as a birthday card. Or I think it would be fun to give for Mother's Day and have pictures of the grandkids in there. I might do that. Don't listen, Mom. So I think these are, this is going to be really fun and a great way to use up my scraps. So I had made a Father's Day card for my husband and I had printed these out and I had a whole bunch of extra ones. And they just look like little composite notebook pages. And I think I'm going to use this big one here. I'm going to use my paper trimmer and cut this up nice and neat. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what happened to my voiceover that I had originally done for this, but we'll go ahead and show you the rest of this book. I have finished it off, and we'll do a flip through. This is the front of it. I've added some flowers, the feathers. This is that original piece that had the hole in it, and I've added some ribbon to it to create kind of like a little bookmark, I guess you could say, so that you could lay it on whatever page you're in on the journal. And then, yeah, those cute little feathers that I found laying on my desk, and just added a really nice touch to this. So everything has so much beauty. I really love that, and I think that is so true, and we need to kind of remember that as we go through day by day. And again, I just added a little flower that I had in my finding stash. So let's go ahead and do a flip through of this book. Okay, so you saw the first page. I've added a little more things there. There's that background wood stamp that I used with the frayed burlap, and I used the front of my stamp platform just to stamp that down because it wouldn't fit. I added a few paper clips and a flower, and then we have this little don't forget page that you can write a little list of things. And then on the right there, you can see that I have a really fun little pocket to keep a pen. So that turned out really fun. And yeah, I think this is a really cute first page. And that was the little pocket that we had created in the beginning. It just fits this pen nicely. Turning over, this is some leftovers that I had for some bee cards that I had created. And I just used some photo corners. Now, you don't necessarily have to use anything like this. Like, you can actually put photographs in those little photo corners. I think that would be fun to add. I've added some little jewels just to jazz it up a bit. And then I had a leftover kind of piece from, that looks like the honeycomb. On the right hand side, this is just a piece that I had watercolored and I didn't really like it, so I pulled out a die, a sunshine die, and this word sunshine was left over, and it just kind of worked perfectly, just kind of a fun page. Turning over, you can see here I had some leftover elements from a My Favorite Things card that I did for Slimline Blog Hop. And those work perfectly on here. I think they're fun. And I created this pocket here and added a flower. And then I created this fun little bookmark to go inside. So this was just a stamped image that I had, and I colored up and made a bookmark out of it. And then added some of this, what is this? This is the floss, the cross-stitch floss, just to add top of my bookmark, and I think that turned out really fun. Let's go ahead and slide that back in. And again, I added a paper clip so that you can clip things to your pages, and it works perfectly because you can clip to both sides because the paper clip goes on this side as well as the other side of the next page. Turning it over, so this is again some elements I wouldn't necessarily use on cards, but they were left over from a paper pack that I had gotten. And on the left there, you can see it's the things I love, and there's like a list of 7 things you can write down. There's some stickers here that again I wouldn't necessarily use on a card, but they work perfectly to adding to this journal. This back piece here fits nicely where this pocket is. There's the paper clip. This was a dress that I was going to use for a card and I never finished, so I thought I'd add this sensational on the bottom and a few little sequins, just kind of brought it out nicely, so that's another fun page as well. I think the colors match perfectly between those two, and they work actually together. This is the middle of the book. I really like this page. It's so much fun. It's Wild About You. It has 2 pockets, and I created those pockets just by using wide washi tape just to cover them. Scrap paper to cut out the Wild About You, and I had all these little critters already stamped, cut, and colored, and so it just worked perfectly for this middle page spread. And just, yeah, lots of fun pockets and, you know, places to write there on the blank paper. Turning over, I thought this was fun. This was my kind of travel homage. I had all these stamps from around the world. I thought it would be fun to stamp down this stamp. Actually, says like London, San Francisco, Paris, Shanghai. It's places all over the world, and I thought that would be fun just to stamp in the middle and then put the stamps kind of all around the outside of it. And so, yeah, that's really fun. You can add tickets or whatever for places you've traveled in there. On the right-hand side, this is just a leftover strip that I had from another project, and it worked perfectly for this pocket. Again, you can stuff little things on the inside there, or glue things down from places that you've traveled. Moving along, I've created a pocket with this leftover piece of paper, and again using some of these little lined composite things from that Father's Day card that I had left over. and they can just slide in there and you can create notes or lists that you want. And again, some fun little elements that I had left over. On the right here, I just use these little photo corners, and what's really nice about this is I snap today's goals on this, and I can take it out and I can take it with me or replace it, so that I always have a place to write down my goals. Really fun. You can also add a photograph too if you like. So again, I think this journal is a lot of fun. This is just, again, some stickers that I wouldn't necessarily use on a card, but I thought it would be fun to use and make this kind of like woodland spread, and then I can write maybe some poetry or some notes on the inside of this part here. Yeah, just kind of a fun little doodling page as well. All right, so moving on to the last kind of page here, I just did some stenciling, and this was a stencil piece that I had in my stash. I just made a pocket out of, added a paper clip, and yeah, just a place to maybe keep receipts or notes, what have you. So yeah, this was my journal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, there's my little bookmark piece that I can use. What I'm going to do is add some eyelets on the front and back and add some ribbon to it, and then I can tie it closed. So I thought this was a really fun way to use up the scraps that you have to create something fun. I think it would be a nice gift, like I said. Yeah, so I really like how it turned out, and I hope you guys really enjoy it as well. Alright, I did want to share with you another little project that I had created. Now this isn't out of scraps, this is out of a full piece of scrapbook paper, and I just thought it would be fun to show you another way that you can make these little journal gift things. So this is out of a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper, and I have taken it and I have folded it in half, folding up, leaving just a little bit of a lip at the top. And then that creates a pocket, and then I've gone ahead and sewn on the edges of where the folds are. So I've created some folds here. There's the top of the sewn around the edges, and then I've just kind of folded it over again, and then this last little part creates the little flap. I've added some eyelets to keep it closed, this fun little stitching that I've done on the folds, and then I've created this little signature piece out of leftover papers that I had. I think that's really fun, and then I've just kind of stitched them into the book. Added some more of those little elements from the leftover paper packs I wouldn't necessarily use on a card or haven't used on a card. And then I've also created this kind of fun little tag that fits in the pocket, "Be curious." I just think that's really sweet. Slide that back in there. So again, it's just kind of a nice little thing to have in your purse to write notes, or it's a nice little gift to give to someone. And if you want to see how I make that, leave me a note down below and let me know if you want to see a video on how I make this particular one. Again, just using the eyelet and some leftover ribbons just to give a nice little tie to it. And yeah, so let me know if you want to see a video on this, and I'll definitely create one if you want one. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me today for today's scrap project. I know it's not a typical card, but I thought it would be fun to share with you some different ways that you can use your leftover scraps. I would really love to see what you guys create, and I would love it if you sent me some mail or some cards that you've created. I want to give you guys a chance to win some free things. So here is my address. Go ahead and pop me a card in the mail or something that you've created, and you'll get a chance to win a prize, and I'll show you the cards on the next video. As always, you can find the materials used in today's video down below in the description and over at my blog. Any purchases made through these links helps me to bring you future content and tutorials at no extra cost to you. Another way you can show your support is simply by liking, sharing, and subscribing so as not to miss any future posts. Thanks again, until next time, P.S. I love you.